Hey, my name is Ivy Starnes, and I'm in Fort Worth, Texas, and I'm a gaited horse trainer. Today we're talking about identifying the gaits from the saddle. All right, so make sure that everything's working. Let me know how the video is working for you guys. So we're talking about identifying gaits from the saddle, and I don't have as much footage as I would have liked to show you guys. I'll be working at trying to get some of that in the next month or so. But the trick is there is no easy answer. These videos will help you, but it involves some work to be able to identify the different gaits. The big thing that you're going to use at the beginning is, does it feel smooth? Now, this is tricky because a lot of people find the stepping pace smooth, especially compared to your gaited or to your trotty horses, like quarter horses. The stepping pace does feel smoother, okay? But that's your very first gauge is going to be, does it feel smooth? The next gauge you're going to use is, how does it sound? If it sounds evenly timed 4-beat gait, which is the pucka pucka, and I will demonstrate that for you shortly, then you know you have a good gait. If instead you have any kind of syncopation or off gait where it sounds like puck, 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 then you know you don't quite have the gait. And that is going to be your easiest, most reliable way to tell what gait you're doing. There's a few other things that we're going to talk about as well, but first I want to jump into what a good gait is. So in this case, we're talking about getting a saddle gait or saddle rack. You can also get a foxtrot, flat walk, and running walk, and we'll talk about those and how those look different from the saddle. But again, your biggest, most accurate way to tell what your horse is doing is going to be listening to the sound. Okay, so first I am going to go ahead and show you guys this first video where the horse is gaiting well, and you're going to be able to hear that, and you're listening for that pucka pucka pucka. I'm going to play that whole video, and I want you guys to really listen. This is what you're looking for, and this is why I'm going to stress it, is because listening for the good gait is the best way to get a good gait later on. So here you go. This is Luna. She is a Tennessee walking horse mare. She is well bred, and this you can see not only is she just gaiting, but doesn't need the reins to do the gait. So you can hear that pucka 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 really well. That tells you you've got a good gait. Okay. So when you have that good gait, that sound tells you have it. But what does it feel like? Well, that's a great question, and unfortunately different gaited horses have different feels, and it's not just based on the breed, but it's also based on each horse's individual conformation. Some gaited horses feel like you're gliding, like it's just perfectly smooth, like you're just on glass. And then again, that comes from the conformation as well as the training and the breeding. But some horses have a perfect gait, that perfect pucka 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 pucka, but there will just be this movement. Your hips will be moving kind of back and forth like this, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. And that's normal. And that's just, every horse is a little different. What you shouldn't feel is up, down, impact. That's not a smooth gait. That tells you you're probably more toward the pace or the trot. Also, some pacey horses, you may feel like you're being thrown side to side, left, right, but not always. That's not a consistent way to tell if they're doing the pace or not. Again, the audio, what it sounds like, that perfect pucka 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 is going to be your best chance. Well, what about the other gaits? Well, let's talk a little bit about the foxtrot. The foxtrot's unique is it's definitely smoother than the trot, and it can be smoother or bumpier depending on how close to even the horse is. But how do you tell what he's doing if he's doing a foxtrot? Well, the foxtrot, there's two main things you'll notice. One, it'll sound almost like pucka pucka, but it'll sound more like puck, 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 puck. But also, that head will be going up and down like this, not sideways. So when you're looking at it, the head doesn't do this, but it goes up and down like this. And I don't have footage to show you guys. I wish I did. I have lots of footage from the ground of the foxtrot, but not of riding, which I'll be working to get. So it sounds like almost pucka pucka, and the head is going up and down, but also The foxtrot, you'll also feel like the back of the saddle lifts you up every other stride. That's that foxtrot part where the horse is using their hind end a lot, but they're lifting you up, not reaching farther forward. So that is what the foxtrot feels like from the saddle as a general rule. Hi, Nancy and Anthony, and Pamela says she loves the videos. Great. I'm glad we got some people watching. Awesome. So what about the flat walk and the running walk? Well, those tend to be, they generally are walking horse gaits, but not always. And they tend to be, you'll feel a big stride from the hind end, and it won't lift you up as much as push you forward every other stride. And you will also see that head nod up and down. Again, not side to side. Side to side means your horse is pacing. We'll talk about that in a minute. But up and down means they're either foxtrotting, flat walk, or running walk. And for the flat walk and the running walk, it's like a big stride, and you're being pushed forward every other stride, left and then right, and then left and right. And the same thing for the running walk, though the running walk gets a little bit smoother as the horse is smoothing out all the action a little bit, but you still have that head nod up and down. A lot of people contact me all the time. They say, my horse does a running walk. And I'm like, yeah, right. Well, your horse might be, but so many people say that, but their horse is not doing a running walk. It's doing a stepping pace. One way you can so easily tell, if you have a head nod up and down, then you have a chance that you're actually doing the flat walk or the running walk. The flat walk is, again, just a walk. It's a fast walk, but it doesn't change gears. It doesn't ever get into the next gear, which is the running walk. The running walk is a much faster speed, and there should be a noticeable difference in how the horse moves fast. But so many people say their horse is doing a running walk when their horse has no head nod up and down whatsoever. And some people think a head nod is actually side to side, but that is, again, the pace and the stepping pace. So your flat walk and the running walk, the horse's head must be going up and down, just like a foxtrot. So it's really important for you to be looking for that. Next up would be the pace and the stepping pace. Sometimes the horse's head moves side to side. If you look at between their ears, sometimes it moves side to side, sometimes it doesn't. But it's usually bouncy. Now, it could be side to side bounce, or it could be up and down, and that's just dependent based on every individual horse. Also, I see we have some people watching. Margie says hi. Beth, hi. Margie from Virginia. Dee from Alabama. Jonah says thanks. You're welcome. Jean from Georgia. She said she's very new to this. I hope these videos help. And again, there's hours and hours of videos you can still look at. And Kelly from Arizona. Awesome to have so many people watching. If you have any questions, go ahead and comment below, and I will be answering them. I'm going to show you another version of a good gait. I'm going to talk a little bit over this one. This is from a DVD that I have, Ride-Along Lessons. It's all footage from the saddle, and it talks about how to identify the gaits and work with it a little bit. And so I want to play this video, and I'm not going to talk over it, but it's recorded talking over it. You'll hear the sound change a little bit, and hopefully it'll go a little bit pacey, and it won't be that even pucka-pucka, but then it'll change back to the pucka-pucka, and I want you guys to hear that. All right, so here you go. That's very, very nice. Notice the loose rein? We're going slightly downhill here, so that's very good for a horse to be able to hold a smooth gait. Downhill is excellent. Again, remember, these are longer periods of gaiting because I've been working on this for a little while. A little bit pacey right there, but he kind of fixed it a little bit. Just the slightest bit pacey, but very, very good. Little pacey, you hear that slight syncopation there? That's getting bouncier. They're smoothed out. You'll see me just use the whip just to guide him without the reins, just to keep him on the road. Okay, so there you got to hear how the gait changes a little bit. And again, I have more videos that are even just free available on here that will let you listen to that. And also, a lot of videos from this perspective for not just gaiting, but also like lateral work and some other training from the GoPro, from my helmet, is available on my private training group. Again, that's $99. It's a one-time fee. You join it and you're in for life, and that's available. The link is in the description. So I'm going to say hi. Let's see. We have hi Marcia from Georgia, Jane from Virginia, Linda from Arkansas, Trish from Central New York. Jonah has a great question. She says, is a single foot ambling gait the same as a running walk? Good question. No, it's not. Not really. So ambling is actually a stepping pace, I believe. So it's hard to say. Like there's ambling and shuffling. So like a lot of people say Appaloosas will shuffle, or do they call it something else as well. But it's actually not it's a stepping pace. That's all it is. It's a stepping pace, which could be made more smooth, but they like to call it that. A single foot is basically a rack, and it has to be high speed if they're actually going to single foot. So I usually train the saddle gait or the saddle rack, which is not that high speed that you get, but some people will train that the single foot. So the ambling gait is more like a stepping pace, and I don't think it is a running walk. The running walk is generally considered very specific to walking horses, but not always. It's a really good question. And again, I've had some people criticize me for not saying specifically what the gaits are. So in the Rockies and Pasafinos and Walkers and Foxtrotters, giving them all the specific gaits names, but the names will confuse people unless you're showing you want a smooth gait and a relaxed horse. And my goal is to give you those tools, not to identify every single different gait, because each breed will have a different name for the same gait. And so it can get really confusing. Pamela says, what is the best exercise for a stumbly horse? So I get asked this question a little bit, and at some point I'll do a video about why horses stumble. Let me just name off a couple reasons really briefly. 1, they have shoes on and their toes are way too long and their foot is not balanced. That's a big reason. EPM is another reason. Sometimes goes undetected. Sometimes people figure it out. Lyme disease. Also, a lot of horses have Lyme disease on the East Coast and in other areas where they're susceptible, and it goes unidentified, and it can cause things like stumbling, bad saddle fit, and pain or other issues that cause stumbling, as well as having a horse that's high-headed and not paying attention. Now, what if your horse has short toes, has good feet, the saddle fits, they have their head low, and they're still stumbling? Well, a lot of times it means you need to teach them to lift their body and pick up their feet. So a really good exercise is to do a leg yield at the walk and possibly the gait, but that can't be done with a high head. Marcia says, thanks so much for the videos. They help so much with my Foxtrotter. I'm so glad they've helped, Marcia. Hi, let's see, Darlene saying hi to somebody else. Hi, Katie from California, and Darlene in Pennsylvania. Let's see, Angie from Oklahoma, she said she just got a Kentucky Mountain Saddle horse. Excellent, they're awesome horses. I've had several myself. Judy from Ontario, always good to have the international audience. And Jean says, smooth gait and relaxed horse. That's awesome. Yeah, that's my goal, is that smooth gait, comfortable to ride, but a relaxed horse. Not with the head high, not with the reins pulled tight. And so my whole goal is to help you guys get that with your horse. And it is not easy. So many people get into gaited horses because people tell them, oh, they just gait naturally or they gait on their own. And well, a few do, but not that many. Again, it can be tricky to train. My goal with these videos is to help you. Darlene says, is there a definite lead change when doing figure eights? Great question. No, there is no lead change with a gait because it's a perfectly even 4-beat gait. It's exactly like the walk, only they have more suspension and more forward movement. A lead change is pretty much only with the canter and the gallop, not with a walk, trot, pace, stepping pace, foxtrot. None of those have an actual lead. That's a really good question. Is it Jerry or Jerry Lynn says hi from Oregon. She has a 23-year-old Rocky. That's actually a really good point. Somebody actually just asked me recently if a horse is too old to learn to put their head down or gait. And the answer is absolutely not. I've worked with some horses that were in their 20s, super high-headed, and they learned to put their head down and start gaiting and stop pacing. So they're never too old to learn how to gait. And that's just something to remember. People will make excuses or want to argue, oh, they're too old. And they were actually asking about like a 10-year-old or a 13-year-old. That is not too old. You can work on this at any age, and the head down is beneficial to any horse at any age because that high-headedness is really bad for their back and joints, no matter what breed they are. Okay, so again, if you have any questions, keep them coming. I'm going to go back and I want to show you guys again the Good Gait, and so you guys can listen. And I want to keep playing this because this is what you want. This is the ride you're looking for. Now, you don't have to drop the reins like I do in this video, but listen to this. Listen, memorize it, hear it in your sleep if you have to, so that when your horse gets it, you can do what? Stop and praise. Incidentally, this mare is for sale. So that's what a good gait looks like and sounds like. That is the saddle gait or saddle rack. And it's very smooth to ride. Now that is slow, and that was going about 7 or 8 miles an hour, and it doesn't look like it, but that's what that is. And it's very, very fun to ride and comfortable. And you notice she wasn't speeding up. We're actually headed home in that video, and I wasn't having to hold her back, and that's also a training issue. Jerry says he gaits like a champ. It took a year to figure it out together. Well, good for you to spend that year. A lot of people want to get on the horse and have them gaiting right away. Usually, to get a horse gaiting for me takes 2 to 6 weeks. But if it takes you a year and then you have it, that's a year. That's all it took, and now you've got that gait. Beth says, nice to see you out of your car. Welcome back. Well, yes, now that I have an apartment that I only share with my husband and my dog, it's a little bit quieter, and I can set up the video footage and do that. The car may make an appearance at some point, though. Laura says, hi from Hudson Valley, New York. Hi. She has a spotted mountain horse that's 4 years old, and they're trying to learn the canter. Problem is he wants to start bucking every time we try. We always work on uphill when trying to canter. That's a great question, and I only have a couple of suggestions. One is to get some professional help. Honestly, if you brought the horse to me that it was bucking when you try to canter him, I may or may not take him for training because I don't want to get hurt. And I don't know if you don't want to get hurt. So, couple things. Saddle fit. Make sure that saddle fits him well. Make sure he doesn't have ulcers. Again, he's only 4 years old, so you don't expect to see a lot of these problems, but you have to make sure that they're not there. Make sure that the cinch is not too tight. It seems like such an obvious thing, but I'm amazed at the number of people that don't know this. Make sure his feet are good and that they're not hurting him and causing any issues. Do those things. The next thing would be to lunge him. Teach him to canter on the lunge line. And again, use a small jump. Don't just push him faster and faster. Teach him to do a walk canter transition over a small jump or pull. That will help you get a good transition and help him totally understand what you're asking for. And again, if he's still bucking, you might need someone that can ride a little more professionally. Now, I don't know your horse and haven't seen him. Good news is a lot of times gaited horses, well, they can buck hard. Most of them don't, at least most of the ones I've ridden. Hopefully that will be the case with your guy and you'll be able to figure it out. Make sure that you rule out some of those pain issues first, though. That's really important, and a lot of people overlook that. Greta says, can you play the inconsistent gait video again? Yeah, one sec, Greta, I will. Nina says, new horse, learning to go on a loose rein and getting the head down. But as soon as he gets excited, he does, wait, because he's spooky, so he gets excited when he spooks. The head goes right back up, and all he does is hard pace. How do I get a spook to relax? Great question. And actually, it's really simple. You just ask for head down again, and you keep asking for head down, and as soon as he starts to drop his head, ideally you stop and praise, stop and let him have a bite to eat, stop and give him a treat. Any of those that you're comfortable with, and if the head comes up, you just keep asking for it to go down, and if you can, stop and have a way to praise him, whether it's stopping and standing, stopping and eating some grass, stopping and getting a treat. And he's going to learn that he could spook, but then go right back to being relaxed. Because again, I've worked with those horses too that get up and you just ask for that head down. Remember, head down should be down to the ground, and then you'll be able to get that gait back. Darlene says, hard to hear the pucka when on the road. How is another way to tell if they're gaiting in the ring? Great question, Darlene. Okay, so the question is, it's hard to hear the pucka in the ring. You are absolutely correct. It is hard to hear. If you know your horse has been gaiting well on the road. So here's the thing. Get it solid on the road. Okay? Get it so your horse is gaiting like the horse that I just showed you before you try gaiting in the arena, because you're making it harder on the horse. Most horses have a harder time gaiting in the arena. Get it solid on the road before you try the arena. Once you've got it on the road, you should be trying to feel it. When you're riding on the road and your horse is doing pucka, feel what it is in your seat, because every horse is different. Memorize that feeling. Praise your horse. Then go in the arena, get that same feeling, and when you get a couple steps at that gate, what should you do? That's right. Stop and praise. That's how the horse knows they did the right thing, especially in the arena where it's more difficult. Chrissy says, or actually I'm going to go back. We'll get to Chrissy's question in just a sec. We're going to go, here's the video with the inconsistent gait that I'll play again and let you listen to that. That's very, very nice. Notice the loose rein? We're going slightly downhill here. So that's very good for a horse to be able to hold a smooth gait. Downhill is excellent. Again, remember, these are longer periods of gaiting because I've been working on this for a little while. A little bit pacey right there, but he kind of fixed it a little bit. Just the slightest bit pacey, but very, very good. Little pacey, you hear that slight syncopation there? That's getting bouncier. There, smoothed out. You'll see me just use the whip just to guide him without the reins, just to keep him on the road. So there was the inconsistent gait, which was requested that we play that again. Okay, so we'll go to Chrissy's question. She says, I recently acquired a side pull. My mare rides well in it, but I felt like her gaits were impacted and not as smooth because she wasn't using her body like she does the bit. Suggestions on how to improve the smoothness when bitless. Is it a matter of her just needing to get used to it? It's a really good question. So what if you have a horse that gaits really well with a bit, and Chrissy's horse does gait really well, and then you switch to a bitless? Here's the thing. I love bitless. I ride my own personal horses bitless. No bits. It's a really good thing. However, you have to train the horses to be soft and light in bitless, and it takes anywhere from 2 to 3 times as long to train softness in a bitless bridle as it does with a bit. Now, that is not to say that you should not do it, but you need to assume that your horse doesn't know what you ask. Teach the horse, ride in the arena or your pasture, like Chrissy, I know you have the pasture or the road, and just constantly work on that softness. That softness and head down is going to help her get back into using her body. And when she gaits well, what must you do? Stop and praise. Even though we know she knows how to gait with a bit, she needs to be rewarded for gaiting with a bitless. Whenever you change things around the horse, change the saddle, change their feet, change their tack, we need to praise them when they do even the simplest things correct. So stopping. If you had a horse and you wanted to train them bitless and they didn't stop well, and you worked at training a good stop, you need to praise every little bit of try and not just assume they know what you're asking. So many things go wrong when we assume the horse knows what we want and we don't take the time to train it and praise the horse for doing the right thing. Patrice says, I followed all your videos and advice going from pace to gait. It worked and she gaits like a dream. Yes, Canter's neck. Patrice, good job. That's so cool to hear, to know that people have used the techniques and gotten their own horses to gait. Patrice also says praise is the best. So I've had so many good not testimonials of people who started using stop and praise. And their horses made a total difference. They started gaiting, they started relaxing, and all you have to do is learn to stop and praise. And you have to have them stop and wait you have to do it for at least 60 seconds. You have to sit there. Kelly says, is there a method to train the gait on the ground before you try to do it from the saddle? You absolutely can. You can use the poles, but here's the thing. Train head down, use ground poles, or if your horse is trotty, go where it's nice and flat, and whenever they show the tiniest bit of gait, stop and praise. That's it. It's the same thing. There's maybe a little more finessing that you have to do, but you have to stop and praise whenever they just show a little bit of gait. So if your horse is pacey and you train head down and you're on the lunge line or ground driving and they start trotting or they start gaiting, immediately stop and praise. That's how I train. Even groundwork is stop and praise. And there's no different technique. It's just the same things from the ground. Cindy says, she's from Virginia here. She says, I have had my 10-year-old spotted saddle horse for 2 years. Please give me suggestions for balancing his canter. He has the smoothest gait of any horse I've ridden, but he feels like a camel when he canters. Oh, it's not uncommon, don't worry. He also only canters on one lead. I don't encourage the canter much, but it would be nice to try in the ring. I don't think lunging is the answer. I don't want to stress his legs, weak or stiffles. Thanks. Okay. You can work on the canter without lunging, but I'm actually going to tell you that if the ring is small, it's going to have the same impact as lunging on a large circle. When you lunge and you're working on the canter, you should work on a big circle. That's really important. I'm going to give you a couple of exercises to work to balance the canter. 1, train the trot. Whether you ride it from the saddle or you train it from the ground, the trot will help that camel pacey canter get better. Also, put down canter poles about 12 to 15 feet apart. I had a mare, Tennessee walking horse. She was, I think, 20-ish, 19, 20, so not young, and she had a very pacey canter and couldn't hold it but a couple strides. And in 1 3-day clinic, so in just like 15 minutes each day, we went from only cantering a couple strides to cantering almost all the way around the arena, much more balanced and slow. Best thing you can do is put those poles down, preferably not PVC, something a little bit bigger, maybe yay big around, and put those down 12 to 15 feet apart and ask her to canter. And then if she has a balanced canter, stop and praise. Very important. Don't forget that stop and praise. Then later, you can gradually ask for more and more and without the poles. Start with that and let me know how it goes. Joy says, I have a Missouri Foxtrotter. When he puts his head down, he'll break to a trot. He will come back quick, but will break again. How do I stop him from trotting with the head down? Great question. So it's actually really normal for horses when they put their head down to trot. So 1, don't let him put it as low. And when he puts his head level and he's gaiting, stop and praise. That's going to be my answer to a lot of your questions, is the way to get your horse to do something again. So to gait with his head level or to gait with his head down is when he gaits with his head down for a step or two, stop and praise. Don't wait for him to break to that trot before you correct it. Praise him before that trot breaks. Darlene says, thank you. You're welcome, Darlene. Simone says, hello from Pennsylvania. Only been riding for 18 months and I bought a gaited horse. What are good exercises to do my boy to gait? My trainer is teaching me to keep close contact and keep his head up to gait. He does keep his head down and walk. Okay, I'm going to tell you something very different from your trainer, and I hate doing that because the trainers don't like that. The head up and close contact does not train a gait. What it does is train head up, close contact, and a hollow back, which is bad for the horse. That's great that he puts his head down at the walk, but you need to train him to put his head down at the gait. And I'll put it in the link in the description when I'm done with the video, free video on how to train head down. All you have to do is sign up with your email. You can get it. It's free. It's really important, though, when you get head down or get any steps of gait to do stop and praise. And I'm also going to tell you, I know you're new to this, go back and watch a lot of my videos because I'm probably going to answer a lot of those questions. So go back, watch the free live videos on this page. It'll help you guys. All right, we're going to wrap it up. Let me know if there's any other quick questions to throw in here, and we'll try to answer those. Again, my name is Ivy Starnes. I'm now in Fort Worth, Texas. I'll be doing lessons and training soon, and I will be traveling and doing clinics. We have a live video tomorrow talking about natural horsemanship and the danger of tools. When I say tools, I do mean whips and ropes, and we're going to talk about that. Feel free to join in. Again, that'll be tomorrow at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time, which is 5 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Mountain Time, and 2 p.m. Pacific Time. So, let's see. Kelly says, hi from Colorado. Hi, Kelly. It says, I try to work on these things on the trail. I find stopping to praise all the time difficult on the trail, so I try to intentionally release all pressure when he gets into a good gait. My Tennessee walking horse canters and gallops like a dream, but can't seem to find the gait. He paces. I have found that he gaits much better after we gallop. Do you think this is because he's more loose? Some people say that the horses will gait better after they canter or gallop, and I've had some minor success with that, so I don't use it because, honestly, I want the horse to walk when I say walk, gait when I say gait, canter when I say canter, and I don't want to have to canter him first to get gait. Stop and praise sometimes is difficult on the trail, so one thing you can do instead of stopping and praising, you could just let him walk on a loose rein, but ideally stop and praise is going to be your big thing. And also, don't start out on the trail. If you can ride on your driveway, ride on the road, just focus on the gait without those distractions, that will help as well. And make sure you're not asking for too much. If he's pacey, really get that head down and praise for the little tiniest bit of gait. Incidentally, Kelly, where in Colorado are you? You're welcome, Nancy. And Judy, she said, you're the best. You're welcome. Christine says, I use stop and praise on my husband. Okay, I never advocated that, just for the record. When he takes out the trash, I stop and praise. When he does the dishes, I stop and praise. I love your videos. Well, I hope it's working for you, Christine. Hey, Kevin. Good to see you. And hope everything's going well. Carrie says Starnes is a lot easier to say. Yes, but it's definitely less distinct. You're welcome, Greta. You're welcome, Cindy. And Kelly, you're welcome. Crystal, you're welcome. Jill says, please come to the northern part of the country, northern Minnesota, for a clinic this summer. I know that I've got some people trying to organize a clinic in Minnesota, so hopefully that will happen this spring, summer. Darlene says, what is the cue for gaited horses to start cantering? My girl just wants to go from any gait into the gallop when I give her the cue to canter. My thoroughbred was just putting his right leg back on the right hip. Briefly, a cue is anything that you teach the horse to signal something. There is no one cue for gaited horses. You can use whatever cue you want. If your horse goes right into a gallop, I suggest you start using a small jump and actually train the canter, and give it whatever cue you want. It's whatever you use consistently that the horse responds to, that you stop and praise for, that becomes your cue, and it can be anything. Usually, to start with, I just squeeze with both legs and give a kissing noise to ask for that canter, but it can be anything you want. You can say the word canter. You can put your right leg back for the left lead. You can put your left leg back for the right lead. If you're English, you can use your right leg for the right lead. It's whatever you pick, but that stop and praise lets the horse know they did the right thing. Kelly says she's in the Colorado Springs area. Kelly, I don't have any plans yet, but I hope to come there for a clinic, but I don't have anything scheduled. Carrie said we'd love to have you. Yep. Cindy says, let us know where our clinics will be in 2021. Yes. As soon as I get them scheduled, which will hopefully be in the next few weeks. The only one I currently have scheduled is one in Ohio near Cincinnati. That'll be in May. Hopefully going to be working in one in Maryland, Virginia, possibly Pennsylvania. We'll see after that. Georgia, probably. Kelly, I'm not coming to Colorado Springs anytime soon. I actually am headed for a very quick trip to Durango, Colorado, probably next week, but I won't be anywhere near Colorado Springs. Okay. Well, I'm so glad you guys were able to tune in. I hope this has helped you. Again, tune in tomorrow and look for more live videos to come. You can join my private training group with a lot more videos. It's $99, just a one-time fee, and you're in for life. The link is in the description. In the description, I'll also put the link for the head down video in case anybody needs to watch that. It's free. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great ride.